Do-Rag Wisdom here, folks, and welcome to Y2K18.03.01. 250 days left to the midterm elections, and time marches on, and it is going fast. I mean, at least for me. The older you get, the faster it goes, no matter what. And that includes what we're going through now, which makes me very happy how fast it's going, even though it's pushing me closer to the abyss. But I have some, I think, at least pleasant news for a change, at least as far as I'm concerned. Trumpty, Crumpty, Creepy is falling off his wall, through which may be some dim light at the end of the long tunnel. Because the only bad news we have is about Trump. We may get rid of him eventually, but as president of our country, he will be harder to extract than an impacted, infected molar. It's not easy to take out a president. I mean, I'm talking about legally to get him out of office. Look at what happened with Nixon. It took a long time. We must never give up, however. It may take a year or more to get rid of this creep. But thankfully, he has spent much of the time shooting himself in the foot. I believe that the creep Trump is guilty. He admitted as much when he told Lester Holt the reason why he got rid of FBI Director Comey. And of course, there has been more firings and chaos in this White House than any other in our history. It plays with the Trump-Putin playbook. On the Trump side, you have the reality TV bullcrap, firings and the suspense and all that stuff in this life and death world we're living in. On the other side, you got Putin laughing his ass off. His playbook is being followed completely by this creep. Trump, Putin together underestimated us and our resolve to maintain our democratic republic. Trump may have become the accidental president, but he has one main disadvantage. He is insane. Trump suggested that guns be taken away from mentally ill people. He had this yesterday, this so-called listening session. That's an ironic, that's an Orwellian term, because he's not really listening to anything the way he's using it. I mean, Trump suggested that guns be taken away from mentally ill people before they are allowed due process. I want to repeat that, it's important. Trump suggested that guns be taken away from mentally ill people before they are allowed due process. Now you have to remember that this is the same moron who allowed legally for mentally ill people to get guns in the first place. You must remember also that a dictator does not want his or her citizens to have access to guns in the first place. Trump Trader is an uncontrollable id that just spills forth its insanity without having a muzzle. I mean, he's the guy that doesn't put his brain in gear before he runs his mouth. I mean, a more intelligent, a more Machiavellian-minded person who would be in office now would be much more dangerous than what we have now. What we have now is someone who shows everything. He's a foul-tempered big mouth who's insane, as I said before, and he can be manipulated, he can be used, he can be abused, like he thinks he's going to share power with Putin. Well, if you've read The Lord of the Rings as much as I have, you know that the Dark Lord does not share anything with anyone, especially with Suleiman. Now remember, there is no, I always say this, I'm not trying to repeat myself like an old fart that I am, but you have to remember that in fascist, totalitarian, oligarch Russia, there is no Second Amendment rights. And Trump loves Putin and Russia, and has always shown from the very beginning, and at the RNC, where he forced them to soften their stance on Russia and its aggression. I don't forget, Trump's son-in-law and other family members have no place in our government, all right? Unless we are trying to implement a kind of banana republic. We have no nepotism, or we don't, I shouldn't say that, because look what Kennedy did, putting his brother in, as Attorney General. I mean, he set a very bad precedent for an evil creep like this to follow and do the same thing, but worse. I mean, if it was up to this bastard traitor Trump, our entire government would be made up of cronies and family members and the like. Putin would be dancing on the grave of our Constitution if we allow this creep Trump to continue in power. And I mean what I say. I sincerely mean what I say. I don't stand by the blood of all my neighbors who are being hurt right now by this creep, whether they know it or not. There are so many scandals going on here. I mean, it's been reported that this Kushner creep, met with corporate creeps in the White House and got loans afterwards. Get the corruption here, folks? Note too, the corruption going on with this creep's cabinet, this traitor, includes travel scandals and a housing secretary who loves expensive furniture. This creep Trump wants to have a military parade that's going to cost us billions, well, at least millions. Something that we don't usually have in our country, never have. Except we have parades to honor veterans, not our machinery. Hope Hicks admitted to telling white lies for the creep Trump. Now, there was a legal advisor who quit because he witnessed Hicks and Trump on Air Force One trying to fake the reason for the meeting in Trump Tower that Donnie Jr. and Kushner was supposed to have with the Russians to get dirt on Hillary Clinton. But the letter they were crafting was said, it's about adopting Russian children, the ban on that, XYZ. And here, this legal advisor was witnessing all of this. And Hicks said that the letter would never get out. It would never see the light of day. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Well, it was obvious to this legal advisor that it meant obstruction of justice, and he quit, and he's going to share what he knows with the Mueller team. Trump is failing to protect us from Russian meddling and is violating the oath of office in this process. We now know, it's on record, that these creeps, these Putin creeps, tried to attack us. They attacked us, not tried to. They attacked us literally, cyber attacked us to mess with our democracy, and they won. They won this battle. They got their creep into our lives. And the fact that he's refusing to place any more sanctions on them than they already have, the fact that he's refusing to act on what the Congress demanded about the sanctions, to continue them and to make more additional ones, the fact that he's not protecting us from further attacks, tells us, if you look at all I mean, even, come on, even Sherlock Holmes would see this. He fires Comey because he was doing the Russian investigation. He has the RNC soften its stand on Russia. He has nothing but complimentary things to say about Putin. He is refusing to acknowledge the fact that they invaded us. He refuses to acknowledge that Putin and his Russia are a bunch of scumbags. And he deserves to be impeached for that alone. Trump traitor is now a focus on what he knew and when he knew it. When he said that he wanted the Russians to find those alleged Hillary emails. Did he already know that the Russians and WikiLeaks would release their vomit? Someone knew, because I remember Giuliani announced, something's coming out, something's coming out. And knowing these creeps as I do, they probably leaked it. Giuliani was so happy because he was hoping something's going to stick to Clinton. These creeps knew something because they colluded with our enemies to destroy our democracy. It is coming out when the mid-year elections that Manafort et al. Will be on trial at least a month before the elections. So this is going to give Trump and his enablers the worst pre-election publicity ever. Remember that Trump's plan is to cater to the base, his base, no matter what, his 35%, no matter what, with the hope that the rest of us won't vote. Make sure to vote Democratic 250 days from now so that we can get Putin and our traitorous enemies out of our government. Trumpty Crumpty is falling off his wall.